Hello, my name is Michael Sliwa. I am 19 years old, and today I guess I'm going to be talking about who I am or who I think I am based on the concepts that we went over in classes such as CAP 122 and what I'm expecting in CAP 123. So, the first point that's here is to draw my work from CAP 122 and articulate a sense of who I am based off of that. So one of the first concepts that we talked about in CAP 122 was the concept of the Johari's window, which is a concept that I honestly utilize a lot and has shown me a lot about myself. So basically the concept is that you have a quote unquote window with four panes, and each pane represents a different part of yourself. Now these are all very different and they're based off of your perception of yourself and how others view you. So for example, the top left pane would actually be what is known by you and by others. So, for example, if you looked at me right now, you'd be able to tell that I'm a teenager. You might be able to infer that I'm wearing like a green sweatshirt and things of that nature. There are things that are very obvious or things that you have told other people. For example, if I told people I'm Michael Sliwa, I'm 19 years old, I know that and other people would know that. So those are kind of the public things about a person, the things that everybody would know. But what happens when you go to the bottom left pane or the top right pane? Well, that's when things get a little bit complicated. Those panes are reserved for things that people either know only about you that you don't know, or things that you know about yourself only that other people actually don't know about you. Especially hard to come up with examples for things such as what other people know about you that you don't know about yourself, but they could be the same kind of things like features or things you've said or ways that you act that you don't realize. Maybe if I think I'm being a nice person, but I'm treating people like a jerk and they think I'm a jerk because of that, or vice versa, it kind of goes both ways. And the other aspect of knowing things about yourself that others don't, that really could be like secrets or anything of that nature as well. So if I had some sort of secret that I was keeping from people, which I usually don't, but that would kind of apply in that sort of a situation. Now, the most mysterious and the most interesting pane of this entire, I guess, concept and window is the fact that we have the unknown. And that's things that people don't know about you and things you don't actually know about yourself or aren't aware of. This concept was actually the most interesting to me because I never thought about myself in this kind of a way. I didn't really think that maybe other people would think different things about me than I thought they were thinking, if that makes sense. Or I guess I never really thought about the fact that there were things that other people saw in me that I didn't see in myself, and things that I saw in myself that I guess other people didn't really know. It makes you realize just how little people actually know about you, and it kind of actually improved a bit of my confidence because now I really didn't have to overthink so many situations and different things that I had to do involving people or, doing things such as Zoom classes, because in all reality, not that many eyes are going to be on you. But all in all, tying it back into my concept of self or who am I guess it made me realize how much people may or may not know about me and how, that could kind of change their perception. And what's interesting is that these Johari's windows can be completely different for different relationships. For example, the ones with my parents might have, some things as the things that we both know, things that I know that they don't, and vice versa. Those windows might be different sized, and maybe the complete unknown might be a bit smaller, whereas with a stranger, the sizes of those different panes are a lot different. For example, the both know kind of section would probably be very small, and the things that they know about me that I don't know, and the things that I know about myself that they wouldn't know would also be very big, and the unknown would also be fairly sizable as well. It's pretty interesting to put those things into context and kind of think about yourself differently and shape that meaning of who am I with this concept. Another concept that we touched on in CAP 122 was this concept of roles and how we play different roles every single day and how our roles kind of changed based off of a situation. For example, right now, my role is recording a video and being a student and making sure to be kind of a presenter and talking in a way that's very clear and articulate and kind of getting my ideas out in a, very sensible fashion. In other situations, I might have to play a completely different role. For example, if I'm working at like a restaurant or in a job or something, I might have to be more polite than usual. Or if I'm just hanging out with friends, my role is probably a lot different from this. I'll probably be a lot more informal and do a lot of things that I wouldn't do, in other situations, like I said, like a job. It also made me realize how many different aspects there are to a person and how you might know a person in one situation or in one role, but really not know the real them. I think we see this a lot in our everyday lives, and as we become closer with people, we kind of see more sides to them and more aspects to them. They become more of a, I guess, deeper character to us. And I think that this applies to me as well, because as I get to know people and as people get to know me, a lot more things are exposed and a lot more things are kind of known by both of us, and we treat each other a little bit differently. But going back to the concept of the Johari's window, I kind of wanted to break it down for myself and kind of talk about how I see it. Now, I guess I can't really say what others would see of me that I wouldn't know in the unknown because I'm me and I wouldn't really know that. But for me, myself, I think I'm pretty intelligent and that I can articulate my thoughts pretty clearly. Hopefully it comes through in this video, or, that's maybe an unknown that I have. Also, I like to be kind of an outgoing, but, to myself kind of person. I don't really put myself out there that often or talk about myself too much, but this assignment kind of calls for it, so I can't really avoid it in this situation. Along with that, I really enjoy learning things. Currently, I'm studying a language and I'm also doing things like playing the guitar, which is, two of the things that I'm really passionate about right now and that I really care about. I'm also very passionate about the sciences and things like my major. I mean, I'm a biology pre-med major and I also want to go into medicine. That's a big aspiration of mine. It's something I'm working towards. But really, I guess kind of branching out of that, now that I've kind of talked about myself and things that I know about myself and hopefully, others should know about me, I guess I should talk about more of how I know that these things are true or maybe how I've come to realize these things. So in my opinion, if it wasn't for my experiences, I really wouldn't know who I was, because really the ways that I've reacted and I guess responded to different situations has really shown me who I am as a person, and have really been the catalyst to kind of start my realization of who I am and how that has changed over time. That's another concept we touched on in Cap 122, which is that, whole thing that our definition of self is always changing and it's always updating. We talked about things like our previous experiences and how those shaped us. Probably the one experience that I should bring up here is moving into college and becoming a college student, because a lot of what happened during that, first week or week leading up to college was really difficult for me. But once I got past it, I really grew up and kind of became, I guess, a stronger person because of it. So I guess before I really didn't have a concept of how responsible or, self-sufficient I could possibly be, because I had always lived with my parents in a very controlled environment. A lot of my decisions were set for me. My, entire situation was very fortunate. I always pretty much had things prepared for me, and I was given so many opportunities over the years to be successful. But moving into a new school, into a new dorm, with people that you don't know, really changes the entire, perception of your situation. I guess this brings up the point that really difficult situations and tough times really are what show you who you are, and your experiences shape that whole entire perception in general. So like I said, when I was moving into college, I was kind of scared and a little anxious because, again, I had never lived outside of the bounds of, my little world, which was my house and my high school. And, I had experienced a lot of things, but they really weren't outside of the confines of getting help from my parents or friends or people I had known. So I was very anxious about moving in with my roommate. I didn't know them. I had never talked to them. I didn't think I had that good of people skills. I didn't really know if I'd get along with them. Things like that were always at the back of my mind. But through that experience and through meeting my roommate, moving in, living with them, and getting along, and honestly making a really good friend, it showed me that I really wasn't as weak of a person as I previously thought I was. So now I can say that I'm at least a little bit more confident and that I know a little bit more about myself kind of through this whole realization. Now, to kind of move past those older concepts and the concepts of Cap 122, I definitely want to touch on the concepts that we're going to be going over in Cap 123. And of course, that means touching on it from an epistemological perspective as well. So before all that, I think I should probably touch on what epistemology is and what it means to me and what I currently think it is, because obviously I'm going to be expanding on this idea as I learn more and more in this class. To me, right now, it's kind of like this meta-knowledge kind of thing. I mean, like in our Zoom discussion, we said it was very meta, and I definitely agree with that. Basically, it's knowledge about how we know that knowledge is really knowledge, which is obviously very convoluted. It basically gets at the fact that everything we know could be very much based on nothing, and that it can only be based on the confines that we have set for ourselves, which is very deep and very profound and kind of got my head spinning when I was thinking about it. But in kind of working with this concept and kind of looking at examples, such as the Muller-Lyer illusion and things of that nature, I've definitely become more comfortable with the concept and I kind of understand it a little bit better. But again, like I said, it's very profound and very deep. I guess tying back into what I said earlier about my experiences shaping who I am, it totally ties into this perspective. And I guess the fact that my past experiences have influenced my present experiences, and that from there, those experiences are helping me to create new experiences based off of the person that I'm starting to kind of build up and become. This is especially true in the fact that I'm becoming an adult and I'm realizing that more things aren't exactly the ways that I previously thought they were, and that I can't just look at any situation or any one thing without questioning it and kind of trying to apply past knowledge to it. I feel like in those situations where I take something at face value and don't really try to connect what I've learned to it, I always seem to fail or fall short. But in looking at new concepts with past ideas along with new ideas to help assist in that learning, I definitely notice that I get the most out of those situations. But it's really difficult to talk about this topic for the fact that you kind of have to break your own perception of everything and question your own perception to actually fully understand the concept. Because if I think of this new concept of epistemology in terms of older concepts, I don't think I'll fully grasp what it's trying to get at. I can't just simply see these words on a page, and I can't just simply look at this topic without having a bit of suspicion about how I'm processing the information and what I'm thinking and how it's being applied on a basis of who I actually am. The person that I am is going to affect the way I see the information and interpret it. I think that's why we're going to all have very different interpretations in our videos. Thinking from this perspective, I've really started to kind of question if I really know who I am, and that's kind of what I want to get into next. So obviously I kind of said a little bit about myself, what I think I know about myself, and how that perspective is, kind of set in my mind. But after being exposed to this concept in particular, I've really started to question if I really even know who I am. I think that this is a normal process that occurs in a lot of us. Some people are going to reply to this video very differently, like I said, and they're probably going to say that they have no idea who they are or something along those lines. I don't think a person can ever really know who they truly are, but we at least have some sort of concept of ourselves based on, what we think we know or what we actually do know. I guess this whole concept makes us realize that we can't always be 100% sure of what we know, and that we can only really just go based off of basic human intuition. And I guess that's really what it all comes down to. So hopefully I made sense in this video and that I touched on the topics pretty well. These are really just my raw thoughts and what I was thinking about, in terms of these concepts, kind of dealing with them over time, especially the Cap 122 topics. So it's kind of helped me to shape a somewhat accurate, I guess, representation of what I think I am or who I think I am, more like. But other than that, I know that my thoughts can only really get deeper with new information, and that as I take in this new information, that concept of self is going to be ever changing. But I suppose that's pretty much who I think I am and, how I know. Obviously, I don't really know all the inner workings of all of it, and I couldn't tell you specifics, but this is just the very basic concept that I have of myself because, it's a new concept to me in general to even think about it. And I'm hoping that I could definitely develop this idea over the semester, like I said, and add more to it with the new concepts that we're going to be going over.